my whole purpose as dietitian and like the role I play in the fitness industry and like in the nutritional realms is promote and transform people's life through education, empowerment, and truly exploring and meeting them where they at. Because if you're able to step down to where they at and understand their struggles, the main obstacles or challenges that are holding them back, and you can support them through with the skills, with a different set of strategies, and you can help them to integrate and connect the dots to ensure they can get placed in the middle of this trifecta that I kind of mentioned at the beginning, where you just not follow a diet or a training program, but how can we marry these two things and then put the crown on top, which would be changing habits, mindset, behavior, and the way you relate with yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way that things happen in the inside and how the inside affects the outside. And guess is trying to marry these three different things and get people to understand that without any of these, it is really hard to achieve good and sustainable results long term. Like you can do any diet you want, or you can follow any program you want for resistance training or exercise. But if one of these are missing, you're not getting anywhere. You can get somewhere, but you're not going to get too far.
On socials, you're doing a contest prep. I was an international bodybuilding champ, and it's not a good way to do things. What has changed for you going to this contest prep or prep diet, mentally, emotionally, and then actually on the food? How are you going to this? The question. Let's focus on this part. How are you going into this safely versus what you did in the past?
I love that question because I am super excited, but I'm also super scared in a good way, because this is the first time I'm putting myself on the fire line and the test of something I've always wanted to do, but I never felt it was the right time. I never felt like I was in a good place emotionally or mentally, or like in my circumstances weren't right. And I think because of everything that I talked to you about my story, I've been on demand and trying to be in a good place for the past 10 years. And being in a good place is learning my self-worth, learning about my relationship with food, learning about so many things that I needed to get them right before I decided to do anything as dangerous as it could be, in the sense of it can become it's very tricky, and it can become very harmful if you're not careful about that, in terms of, because it's so extreme and it can get very rigid at some points. It can be very obsessive when it comes to your physique, and especially being a female and having had a history of eating disorder in the past and body dysmorphia, and being obsessed with my physique at some point that I was decided to do anything that I needed to do in order to keep and stay looking that way, to trade off more time or even do whatever I needed to do, even if it required me to purge, eat and purge, or sacrifice my mental health to stay the way that I looked. So I said, I'm not going to go, even though it's something that I've always wanted to do, because I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years, since I was 12. Pretty much I started going to the gym and I became a personal trainer when I was 15. Then it's like, you start seeing so many people that do these contest preps and they look amazing, but there is such a huge risk, and understanding that that look that you see on stage is amazing when you look at it, but on the inside is the worst health state they could potentially be at.
Yeah.
And they feel like shit when they are on stage. And you don't want to be there for more than one day on stage. Once you finish that, you have to reverse. You have to be okay to let go of that image. And I didn't understand that until 10 years later, that I have been working on myself and being okay to know that it requires sacrifices, but it's temporary. It requires sacrifices, but you get to a point where you have to be okay to live and learn that food shouldn't be the center of your life. And because I was so attached to food as well, I needed to have my process and my time in order to understand these different phases. That it's okay to be hungry for a period of time and you're not going to die. Sometimes I would just go into a deficit or just try to do a diet, and all my senses would panic.
Yeah, of
And
course, of course.
I would be super hungry, and I would be anxious. And like, it was like, I already was 2 hours and I was already anxious about the deficit. So I'm not ready. Like, to me, like, can't stop thinking about food in a deficit at 1900 calories, or I can't even track consistently for more than a week before I give up on it. So I wasn't ready. I needed to train myself and have as much time I needed and give myself the space to gain weight. I gained about 10, 20 pounds from the time that I was the leanest in my life. But I put on muscle, I gained strength, I started to train heavier. I was able to do things that I was never capable to do before. I never could do a pull-up on my own by myself, and I could do it now. So I needed to have this process of not tracking, but learning how to give myself the space to do it when my body and my mind was ready. Same with eating. For a while, just being on a surplus and just gaining the weight that I needed to gain and allowing myself the unconditional permission to eat things I needed to eat, to know it was safe to not needing to eat all the time, and also being able to have this peace of knowing that you're going to do something because there is a purpose just beyond a physique. There is a purpose of, I want to show myself I can do hard things. I want to tick the box of something that I've always wanted to achieve. In I am an athlete by nature, and I want to feel like these 20 years I've trained for something finally can be put into something that represents something just more than, okay, I'm training for life. Because I show up to the gym regardless. I go to the gym, I eat healthy, I do everything that I should be doing like an athlete, but I don't actually show it to the world or show it to myself. Yeah. It's like, I am tired of just being behind the scenes, doing every work, all the things I need to do, when I have always wanted to do something like this, and I haven't done it just because I was never ready. And I don't want to, like, get older, and because I haven't done this, then I'm not going to be able to do it as much as I want to do it now. And I'm missing out because then I want to have a family. Then I think the best time to do it is now, because if I decided to do it later on and I have kids, I'm always going to have or find an additional excuse not to do it.
So
look,
this is your celebration.
this is a time that I think I feel in a good place.
Yeah.
And I'm super motivated to document my journey and talk about the struggles, that there is also like hunger for real people that go through real struggles, and even coaches, even professionals, they are humans as well. And they will have challenges along the way, or even the daily mundane things we live
Life happens.
and experience with a client. Like, I gain a kilo overnight. How frustrating is that? That is so annoying. And like, then my clients live this shit too. Like, I understand them. And I can also relate to them and say, hey, you gained just 400 grams. I gained a kilo. Like, I am worse than you today. And this is obviously not fat. This is, okay, why you gain 1 kilo overnight. Then you sort of teach your clients based on your experience, and you can relate. Look, I had 7 grams of vegetables last night for dinner. And on top of that, I had 300 grams of potatoes. That adds a kilo, and I haven't pooped yet. So all of that is in your system. Of course, you're going to weigh more. And same if you were to poop now and you sort of got rid of 50% or 40%, you're going to weigh 40% less of what you had yesterday. So it's just like actually implementing what you know and what you talk and teach your clients to yourself. And I don't know, it is like really exciting just to show and experience things and document it and being able to talk about it. And like, it's like a reality show. I don't know. I find it interesting because I've been so shy. I'm someone so intimate, that to me, just doing this is kind of like taking me super out of my zone of comfort, which is kind of like interesting, but also pushing me to become someone that I need to become in order to be, and sort of like get to the purpose that I did show you and explain to you before. Like, if I want to help more people, I have to show up for that person that I need to become in order to be able to reach more people and relate to the things that I want for as an outcome, is to save people from making mistakes and improving the relationship with food. I have to go through that, and I have to show what I do in real life so people can relate and see the truth of things, what things happen, and always teach through my own experiences. So I think it is going to be an interesting thing. And also, like, it's just giving me more growth, personal growth. Like, just showing my ass to 100,000 followers, that wasn't very easy. It was so hard.
Well, there we go. I think that almost gets the title of the show. You're going to lead by example.